So Call of Duty put out a new blog post explaining what's going to be happening in Season 2 for all the game modes. And of course, I'm focusing on DMZ, and they confirmed a wipe. A wipe is coming to the DMZ, and I'm super jacked. I know a lot of people are going to be very upset, but this makes me rethink, well, everything about DMZ now. I think it's going to be pretty interesting how they go forth with this. So let's go break down the blog post, and then we'll chit chat about a couple of things. In the blog post, there's 6 different key topics that they go through one by one and bring up what they're trying to fix on these issues. And this seems to be like the main things that they're going to be doing in DMZ Season 2. Are there going to be more? Yes, for sure. But these are the 6 things that they are wanting to focus on and want us to know about. So the first thing is enemy tuning. This one scares the shit out of me. I won't lie to you. It does scare me. In Season 1, the AI in DMZ were challenging, but the ramp up of difficulty was often steep, with some players getting overwhelmed. With Season 2, we've introduced a number of balance changes to adjust the types of AI spawning, the number of AI spawning, the accuracy of the AI at range, and much more. All of this should provide a challenging but manageable play space that still requires player respect of enemy combats in the DMZ. The reason this scares me so much is because there's a very fine line, and I always talk about this in my stream, I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a very fine line between the AIs being dum-dums and they're just a nuisance that, you know, you can kill easily, they don't matter, you like don't respect them at all, and you just kind of, they're just there, you know what I mean? And you don't worry about them. And then there's the other side of that coin where they're so hard that it's just stupid and you can't even get anything done. And to be honest, right now, I feel like the AI themselves are actually in a pretty good place. Now, is there issues with them spawning randomly behind you? Yeah, you know, they even talked about the accuracy of range. I agree with this, but I hope they don't tweak it too much, because again, that fine line makes this mode honestly just dumb, right? Like it would ruin the game mode if the AI become just brainless robots that you just don't care about, nor are you scared of. You should have a certain level of respect for this AI and still be able to, you know, as a solo player, take them down. So the second thing they want to talk about is spawn points. We are tuning some of the infill points across Al Mazrah for improved early match experience based on gameplay data, starting at a point at which your squad feels isolated or without loot and contract opportunities is not the best experience. These tweaks should improve spawn points across the mode. I like this. Like, this just makes sense, right? I'm sure we've all been there. When you spawned in, you look to the left, you're getting shot, or you can see another team running. It does make sense that spawn points is something that in an extract style game, they need to make sure that they dial in. They are constantly changing and trying new things. And the other thing that that was talked about in this little paragraph here that I don't think they're not really going in depth on, but they're saying that there's points at which your squad feels isolated without loot. So maybe is showing that, like, listen, we understand that certain locations don't have the best loot or really no looting opportunities. You know, I can think of a couple of places up north that feel just isolated. You're in the middle of like what feels like a desert. You can't loot anything. There might be 1 or 2 contracts only. So maybe they're talking about maybe spicing these places up, making them a little bit better, or having, you know, maybe a couple of random lockers or something. Either way, I love that they really wanted to make a point of talking about spawn points. This is one of the most important things in this style of game. Mission difficulty tuning was something else they really wanted to focus on. So data and feedback reinforced that the faction mission difficulty ramp was too aggressive for many players, and that the demanding skill ultimately made it very challenging to unlock the second insured weapon slot in Season 1. We have adjusted the overall scaling of difficulty in missions as the tiers progress. Later tier missions will still be quite challenging, even for the experienced operator, but we believe more straightforward access to an individual insured slot will provide a better path forward for all players. I don't think anyone can be upset that they're working on missions and they're tuning them for difficulty and making them maybe ramp a little more gradual. The other thing I took away from this whole paragraph actually was the fact that it sounds like it's going to be a little bit easier and maybe a more straightforward path for your operator to get that second insured slot, which is only a good thing for you and your contraband weapons, because what this means is a lot of times when you're going to be PvPing, you're going to be finding a lot of people with their insured guns, because now they're going to have the first insured slot and now the second. So they probably looked at how many people unlocked the second insured slot, and the number was way too low percentage wise. So now we're going to see a lot more operators with, you know, better guns on them. And I'm okay with that for sure, because that just means when you do win that PvP battle, you're going to be coming out with way better loot than maybe just like some crappy contraband weapons or some, you know, some ground loot, right? So there's going to be better chances for you to be getting some juicy weapons from them. Crashes are probably the most important thing they needed to talk about in this blog post, and thankfully they did have a little paragraph on it. They said, crashes, we know crashes are especially impactful in the DMZ if you lose your items and contraband weapons as a result. Addressing these crashes is a priority for Season 2, and we are committed to increased stability. Stay tuned for more specifics on this. I'm just so happy that they finally came out and told us that it is in Season 2. Like, I think a lot of us out there knew they were going to fix it for Season 2. It's something that they're working their asses off on, but everyone just kept bringing it up every time they would fix an exploit or doing something. Like, they would act like it's this 2-second fix that's super easy, these crashes. And I don't know, maybe it is a 2-second fix. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a programmer, and I've had people come into my chat tell me they are programmers and being like, oh, these crashes are so easy to fix. They just got to do A, B, and C. I'm guessing if they just had to do A, B, and C, to be honest, they would have done it by now. That's just my feeling, because the crashes are such a big deal, but it doesn't matter how to fix it. What matters is it's getting fixed and they're working on it. That's all that we needed to hear. I'm so happy now that when they do talk about some more of these Season 2 updates, no one's going to be like, what about the crashes? Yep, they're working on them. Don't worry, it's getting done. I'm super happy that they came out and talked about this. It's something they needed to, and at the same time, I don't think they needed to, because it's one of those things, like, of course, but yeah, you just want to hear it from the horse's mouth sometimes, and I definitely get that. This is probably the biggest thing that they talked about in this blog post. That's the seasonal refresh. All new missions are coming to Season 2, including a refresh of your current faction mission progress and inventory, including contraband and keys reset. We will be detailing all the need to know intel for DMZ ahead of Season 2 in an upcoming blog. This whole wipe thing is blowing my mind, to be honest. I really didn't think they were going to do this, and it really does. Actually, I'm shocked that they are, and it just opens up a can of worms of how is this going to work? Are they doing it every season? Are they just doing it like every second season? Things like this are just like, now my brain's really flowing, right? Like, if they're doing this all the time, that means they have to come up with new missions constantly, and that's probably pretty difficult when the maps are pretty specific in like location. So it's probably going to be a lot of fetch quests again, but at least they're going to be able to try different quests and see how the community responds. The other thing is, this is going to be good for those people that feel like they're too far behind. Maybe they're like, oh, there's no way I'm going to get the second insured slot gun or blah, blah, blah. You know, like, now, not only are they back at square one like everyone else is, but there is a better road to get that second insured weapon slot, right? So they even said that. So there's, my brain's just going 1,000 miles. I have to do a video on just the wipe and what that means for the DMZ, to be honest, because there's things that I've talked about in previous videos, like, you know, I didn't want there to be an economy, an outside economy, because I didn't think this game was going to wipe. And I felt like there's so many glitches and exploits in this game that what's going to happen is people are just going to get like $1 billion, have it in their stash, and then they'll never worry about money, and then there's no weight to the game, right? The thing about these extract royales is like the chance to lose all this stuff. And if you have like $1 billion in your inventory, you don't care if you win or lose, right? You don't care if you survive, where you always have to have that feeling in this style of game. So if they're going to be wiping every season, like every 70 days or 80 days or something, this is huge. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about the wipe? Because I'm just like, my brain's just going, and I really have to think about it for a little bit longer, to be honest. The last thing they talked about was locations. With a new exclusion zone coming to season 2, players will have a third option to choose from when deploying in DMZ. The faction mission refresh will provide new missions that send you across these destinations, including Building 21. We suggest you and your squad gear up for infiltration first. So yeah, a new map is coming to the game. I'm super excited about that. It's going to be a smaller map. I actually have a video on it. If you go back, I say a month, I made a whole video on this, and I can't show you the map even though it leaked, but just go watch that video, right? So yeah, a new map's coming. It's going to be smaller, which is really exciting because I think that's going to have way different ways of playing it. Like right now we play Al Mazrah, which is a huge map. This one feels like it's going to be like a third of the size, and I feel like the PvP is going to be rampant on this map. It's going to be cutthroat. I really like that idea. Maybe not as many vehicles at all, or maybe only like a certain type of vehicle, but it just sounds like it. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I love that there's going to be a third map added. And the thing I like also is that they're talking about how the missions are now going to include all 3 maps. So not only Al Mazrah, but now, because we've already had Building 21, it's going to include missions for Building 21 and this new map. So that's just smart. That means there's going to have more options now. So when they do have to do, say, a wipe every 80 days or whatever they're doing, if they are, or if it's a one-off, again, I'm still like, my brain's still going crazy on this wipe idea. Like, I want to know, is it every 80 days? Is it every season they're wiping? It's just crazy to me. Are they keeping certain missions? And I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, so it makes sense that they're going to be having missions for all 3 maps now. But yeah, it was such a good blog post. There was so much here and so many questions, but there's a couple of things I really do want to talk to you guys about that haven't been talked about at all. The first thing that comes to the top of my head, though, that they didn't touch base on was the inventory system. Is that changing, right? Are we going to have more slots for our contraband weapons? Are we going to be able to mod our contraband weapons? You know, it would be really interesting. I've talked about this before, where if all around Al Mazrah is attachments that we can pick up and have an inventory system outside a raid for them, and then we can mod our contraband weapons with this. But are they changing the inventory system up at all? And are we going to be able to take more than 20 weapons into our inventory and 6 keys? I know we have more than 6 key slots, but it feels like we only have 6, right? It just feels so tiny. Like, will we be able to get a little more than what we're allowed right now? And, you know, speaking of keys, Building 21, is that always going to have periods of it being locked? Like, I think right now, if these missions are going to be changing, where there are going to be missions for Building 21, it's going to get very annoying for people if you have Building 21 missions and you have to wait because it's just closed right now. Like, if you have to wait for access. Another thing that they didn't touch base on, but I do feel like it's going to be like a duh moment, like I talked about with the crashes, is the perk system. The perks don't work right now, and I want to test them out to see if they're OP or if they do fit in this DMZ kind of style game. We're not sure yet. We haven't been able to test them out at all because they don't work currently. But it feels like this is something like the crashes, right? It's a duh. Of course they're going to fix it, Geeks. They don't have to talk about it because it's just going to get fixed. So, okay. And then the last thing is a solo map, right? Solos is something that everyone actually really wants. And I love playing solo. I play 90% of the time solo, but I don't mind that I just have to be solo in a trio world, right? But with this new map, they actually have a chance to make it the solo map, and that would be pretty cool, and I think it would bring a lot of people to this game mode. If this map is, say, like, let's say 1/3 the size of Al Mazrah, it's perfect for a solo only map. It would be really smart for them to do that. It would bring a lot of new players in, or just a duo, right? Say it's, you know, instead of trios, it's duo. Now, I know they have talked about in the past how they're only focused on trios right now, which is fine by me. Again, I'm going to play the game solo. It doesn't bother me at all. I'm not going to, you know, complain about it because I'm still able to play solo. I can still get by with it. But I just think it would be really interesting for a solo style map. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I do have to unpack everything. I just wanted to get this out to you guys because I think it's such big news. So if you did enjoy the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It's free for you guys. It means the world to me. Hit the bell. We're on the road to 100,000. I'm going to be making a ton of videos on the DMZ. So until the next one, I'll talk to everyone later.